Alright, this is going to be my overview of my lesson plan. What we're going to do. Here is my class. I have my bull, my horse, my shark, and the bear riding the shark. So this is my class, my simulated class for today. So the lesson plan is on the beginning of the Revolutionary War, what kind of created the war, why it happened, and a brief overview. So we're going to start there. Alright, class. The first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to get the boring stuff out of the way. We're going to talk about the vocabulary words. I know vocabulary words are boring. They take a lot of time. Yada, yada, yada. We all understand it. So let's go ahead and hash to it. All right, the first we'll talk about taxes. All right, next one's going to be tyranny, revolution, war, Declaration of Independence. That's an important one. Suffrage, colonies, and trade. These are all words that we're going to encompass into our lesson that we're going to be learning about over the next few weeks. So guys, we really got to pay attention to these words. We're going to write them down. We're going to go over them. And eventually you're going to be sick of these words. We're going to use them so much, but you're going to remember each and every one of them and why they were there. All right, guys. All right. Next thing we're going to talk about, just real briefly, we're going to do a quick overview. Guys, we start with the 13 original colonies. And I have a little visual aid for you today. Let me get through my papers here that's sticking together. But here are your 13 original colonies, guys. Alright, we're going to learn about each and every single one of them. We're going to break them down and figure out where the first colony started all the way to the 13th colony. So we're going to get down and hash those out. Alright. Next thing we're going to move into is the reason why the war even started. Who knows why the war was started? There's several reasons why. We're going to go over each and every one of them. The first reason we're going to kind of hit at is America was founded upon, people coming over from England and trying to escape pretty much the reign of King George III. So that's another important name we'll have to remember is King George III. So guys, King George III loved his taxes. He was a tyrant in every sense of the word. So guys, in this lesson we're going to find out what he did to cause the war and what America did as colonies, because remember, they're not America, quote unquote, yet. So because of the taxes, because of his tyrannical views, and the way he represented England, was the reason why so many people left England to come to America to start the colonies. Even though they're over here in the colonies, they still ruled under a king who lived all the way over in England. Therefore, America, the colonies thought, why do we have to listen to somebody that far away that's going to take all of our money, all of our food, and all we're doing is, basically we're still living in England, but we're back in America. And this is causing way too many issues. People are suffering, and there's no real end to it. So that's one of the reasons why the war started. It started in 1775. And a cool thing to note is that it all started with one shot. One shot that was heard around the entire world. Pretty awesome that one shot can do that. So guys, this shot was so important, so pivotal, that it began the War of America. Alright guys, so we're going to move on from that. Alright, one of the next things we're going to hit is talking about our founding fathers and the Declaration of Independence. That is a huge, important document that each and every one of us need to know about, because that is how America was formed. In this declaration, we came together as Americans, which was a direct conflict to England. Therefore, the war. So, some of the big things we're going to talk about real quick is kind of like I'm going to break you down into groups. We're going to take a couple of y'all, we're going to put y'all in different groups, and the first thing we're going to do is group reading. And in this group reading, I want each one of the groups going to take one specific part of the Declaration of Independence. In each one of those parts, we're going to have each table that I assign y'all to as a group to go through that part, and then we're going to read it together. So on and so forth will be the next group will read their part of the Declaration of Independence, and then the final group will read their part of the Declaration of Independence. That way we all get a good understanding of what the Declaration of Independence was about, and then afterwards we're going to have a discussion on the Declaration of Independence. And then, after we've gone through the independence and kind of gone through the different scenarios with the war, we're going to move on to our group projects. Now, our group projects, guys, they're important. We really need to kind of buckle down on these, and we're going to have fun doing it. They're not going to be boring, I promise you. All right, one will be broken down into 3 groups in the class. The first group, and I'm going to select you all, but the first group is going to talk about George Washington. And in this group, we're going to go over his life, who was he, why is he so important, and why he later became president. The second one, we just talked about the shot heard around the world. One of y'all groups are going to go over this project. You're going to go and talk about why the shot heard around the world was even called that. 2, who started it, and 3, why is it so important? All right, and then the last group is going to talk about King George III. Like I told you before, important name. King George III was a king during 1775, which was during the time of the war. And guys, that last group, they're going to have to tell me who he is, what he's about, why the war started, and what was his influence on the war. So we got some really good topics to talk about. And then the final thing I want to go with is the class. We're going to do a couple different things. One of the big parts is the colonies was what basically started the war in the sense of they won justice. All right, guys. So since the colonies were so pivotal in the war, we want to break y'all down. Each one of y'all going to be a representative of the colonies. Then, myself and 2 students that y'all choose, we're going to be basically the head council. So the rest of y'all groups are going to come together, and you're going to think of a reason why you want the war or why you don't want the war to happen. But each group is going to have to give their case to myself and the other 2 students, and we're going to determine, do we go to war or we don't go to war. So we want to put y'all in the mindset of how hard it was back in that day to say, hey, do we risk everything? Because they weren't just risking a war off some foreign land. The war was going to be fought at home, in their fields, at their house, down the street. And the people who already knew from the French and Indian War, they had just gone through this heartache. They had just gone through their brothers being killed, their sisters being killed. And guys, you gotta take all that into aspect and say, okay, do we want to do this again? And not only do we want to do this again, do we want our children to see it? Because they will know it. Do we want to put our families through that same sacrifice? So it's a hard thing to do, but we're going to work through it, guys, and we're going to be able to make this happen. So the big parts, guys, we're going to talk about why the war started, the reasons for it, for the war, the shot heard around the world, George Washington, King George III, and Declaration of Independence, guys, and the 13 original colonies. These are things we're going to cover over the next coming weeks. We're going to put these projects together, and we'll have some fun with it, guys.